Welcome to these Sci-Fi guys. I'm your host Dave, and always with me is Chad and John. Today we're going to be talking about the movie District 9. Uh, Definitely a different type of sci-fi movie than what we're used to.
No doubt about
not
that one.
not a lot of shoot 'em up, bang bang. Aliens are
No.
coming.
Let's give them a city and lock them in there.
Yeah, definitely.
The aliens are already here.
Yeah, they're here. They're here. That's a different.
See, I think we should have watched this before Chappie. That one.
I think that's a fair point, honestly.
Yeah, that would have probably made a little bit more sense. But
here we are.
Anyway, who's the one that picked this movie this week? It was
John.
John.
Me.
John, you're the one that picked this movie. Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I definitely was thinking of the movie 9, and not District 9. However, I'm okay with the pick. It was still a good watch, but I definitely was, the number 9 was there, but holistically different 9 I was thinking of.
I just got that movie recently, so I found it of all places at a thrift store for like $1. So I mean, I picked it up. I was like, yeah, that's definitely going in my database, which I'm massively working on right now. So, okay, well, why don't we get started? Okay, John, since you have the questions this week, why don't you fire away?
All right, so our movie kind of sets the aliens down in what I would call a stereotypical, like not a stereotypical place. Very different from what we see in other sci-fi films, because normally it's one of your major, London, Tokyo, New York, LA. Normally aliens are there, but in this one it's South Africa, if I remember correctly, with Johannesburg. Yeah. So with that, do you think? Well, and another part of this I thought of later too. Do you think it's hearkening to apartheid days? Do you think it's just breaking the tradition of trying not to use one of the major cities that's always used? Do you think they're writing to a crowd? Like maybe it's like, oh, we just need a South African movie. Maybe there's a crowd for that. What do you guys think they were kind of aiming for on that one?
Well, I think they were. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Chad. You start.
I think it's just trying to do something different. I mean, to me, is they got to find a place to put. Oh, time out.
All right. Well, they. I agree with Chad. I mean, I was thinking the same thing. Was trying to. What is it? I'm just gonna. I have no idea what's going on, so we're just gonna go with that. What was your question? Oh yeah. Why were they in South Africa in Johannesburg? I think they wanted to do something different. I mean, it wasn't a typical sci-fi movie. It was a what do you call it? Like a documentary, mockumentary,
yeah,
whatever you want to call it. Mockumentary.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of. I mean, that to me is the vibe I got. It was completely different. They didn't want the typical American influence. You notice all their accents.
I
mean, they all had a very strong British accent. So
yeah, it'd be British English for South Africa.
Yeah, British English. So it wasn't typical America. So I think that's kind of what they were playing for, is they wanted it not to be Americanized. They weren't going for the international movie crowd, so they weren't going for Beijing or Hong Kong. I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not. A lot of movies, they go out of their way to make sure that Hong Kong is represented, because they are so large in the international box office. Because I mean,
almost 2 billion people. You'd have to be.
Yeah. So I mean, like, we saw Pacific Rim last week. That was a perfect example. That's why they put the character that they put in there and had it the storyline the way it was, that they were in, they were over in that region. They knew, they were like, okay, it'll do okay in the box office here in the United States, but we're shooting for international. So, But I think this movie was kind of doing the same way. You know, I kind of liked it that it was in South Africa, that rather than, you know, in London or in wherever, you know. Chad, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I think it was a good place setting because think about it. South Africa, Johannesburg is it's a big city for the South in South Africa, but think about it, where would you place a city full of aliens and guard them in there? Besides that, like okay, here if you do it in the United States, you're gonna do it out in Nevada or someplace for near Area 51. That's been played out so many times in sci-fi movies. So you want something different, or put it like
Absolutely.
I would like to see it try to them. They should have, or like to see done two colonies, one in Johannesburg and one in Russia in the frozen tundra. See how they do in different climate.
Yeah, that's fair. I definitely agree with both of you guys on that front. It definitely seems like they were intentionally trying to be atypical because they knew they were just trying to do something different overall. Which, and I agree too. I think it was interesting to see it from a holistically different perspective because we get so used to just the good old bang them up, shoot them up, American. Just we're gonna kill all the aliens, call it a day, Independence Day, if you will. We get so used to that idea of just going after the aliens. It's kind of interesting to see a different style altogether.
It was a totally different style. I will definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah. And
I'm
so
sorry,
with
man.
that idea, no, with that idea, does the idea of the aliens coming malnourished like these to Earth kind of make sense? Is that completely just out of this world wrong? What do you guys think on that front? You know, normally we think these big, massive, healthy armies, but these aliens arrive and they're just half dead. Like
Yeah,
completely again different.
I really like that part of it. I don't want to get into fixing and I don't want to get into plot holes or anything, but we never find out why they're malnourished. You know, I mean, okay, they're what are they escaping from? What are they leaving behind? You know, I mean, why are there so many of them in there? Did they just decide to reproduce and reproduce and reproduce, and then oops, we've got too many now, we're malnourished because we don't have enough food? You know, I mean, it can be played out in so many different ways. I like the aspect of it. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like we've said, this movie is science fiction, but it's not what we're used to. Chad, do you have anything different?
I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. And again, it just comes down to this idea that things are different. Now, to me, it's almost like if they were, it reminds me of even the actual like colonialism days and pirates. And, you know, you get a whole ship and they get scurvy or you run out of supplies halfway across the ocean as you're trying to get to the other side of the world. I mean, if you think traveling across huge areas of space, we don't really know where they came from, but like, maybe that kind of that same idea, like you're crossing entire galaxies. Maybe you would show up with low supplies and just absolutely starving to death. Like
Yeah,
it kind of makes sense when you really get down to it. So I like the idea that they kind of flip that on its head. Like, no, they wouldn't necessarily arrive fully well and going for it. And along that same idea, do you think if aliens arrive on Earth, especially in a weakened state, do you think we, as humanity, as it stands right now, do you think we're going to contain them like they did in this film, or are we going to try something else entirely, especially if they show up, like I said, weak?
I got an answer, but I want Chad to go first.
Well, I'm thinking like you gotta think something new, something come down here and they're malnourished, and we can easily get them and put them someplace to control them. Yes, contain them or contain them and also do experiment. Hey, where you come from? Let me look at your body. See, what you kind of do is science like a exploration of them. Because then they're new. They might not have all the bone structure or cells that we have.
Yeah, I mean, they it's pretty obvious from the movie. It seems like they have an exoskeleton rather than, an internal skeleton like we have. I could see them doing just what they did, but at the same time keeping a small portion of them, like Chad said, experiment on them, figure out what makes them tick, but maybe not have them all in the same place. Maybe, I really think they would have segregated them a little bit so you don't have so many people or aliens in this particular case, gathering together, and making plans or making, we saw what they were doing. They were making weapons, they were trading stuff, they were doing this, don't have them all in one place. It's like having all your eggs in one basket, it's just asking for trouble. You want to diversify them out a little bit. Like Chad said earlier, have some of them up in Russia, have some of them in Johannesburg, have some in the United States, have some in the Middle East, have some in where China, Japan, what is that called? The Orient, I guess. The Far East.
Yeah.
Asia. Yeah, somewhere in Asia. Let's just say Asia. The Russia's in Asia. So, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of so they're not all in the same place. Plus, as a in a scientific realm, okay, hey, we've got them in the hot desert climate, we've got them in the like Chad said earlier, the cold tundra. Okay, we've got them in, let's just say South America. All right, we've got them in the jungle region, so you can actually see how they interact with their environment.
For sure. And I almost say, depending on if we go through with the containment idea, I definitely think it still depends on where they land. I still definitely see several nations just straight up all right, we're wiping them out. They're aliens, whatever. Call it a day, then do research after. I mean, I can definitely see that happening. But, it's
the U.S. would do that.
It's there. Yeah,
pretty much.
100%. Yeah. We would see the ship coming, a million miles away and just try to blast it out of the sky. We'd Kylo Ren it. It's one of my favorite memes. Regardless, as we think
wish I had it, I'd pop it up on the screen.
I know. I almost halfway expected you to at least have the sound. Next time when I have that thought. But do you think combining
never surrender?
It's a sound.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's all good.
Killing me, Smalls.
That's what we would be doing to them. We would be killing them.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, man, my ADHD is not thriving right now. I guess it is. It's kicking very well right now.
It's kicking very well. Yeah.
But do you guys think combining DNA with aliens would be something we would kind of jump towards so quickly, especially considering we haven't really gotten our own genetic thing down? What I mean by that is it seems like they're chasing this thing to try to control alien weapons because they're more advanced. And it makes complete sense from the idea of the alien weapons. But even that idea of like Wickus just suddenly having the DNA and them trying to go after that and figure out what's different about him and just suddenly chasing that rabbit so hard. Do you think that's something we would do, or do you think we'd take a different route entirely in trying to get the alien tech?
I think we would go a different route. I mean, I think we would probably take the weapons, reverse engineer them, and try to take them apart and figure out, okay, if there's a DNA aspect, how can we take that out and still have it work? So, I mean, that's just how I think that the U.S. would do it. I'm not sure other countries. I mean, I'm an American, so I can't say anything other than that. Chad, how about you? Any ideas?
No, I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm going basic crime junkie here. I think you get some insiders that can kind of help us out, explain the tech, befriend some of the aliens that are there.
Yeah, give them extra
us
cat
going
food.
that route too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, especially if they're coming in malnourished and we figure out that they have weapons. I think that easy bargaining front. Here's some food. Tell us how your tech works, and I think we'd more roll from there than the DNA side. Because, like you said, Dave, I think obviously there's almost like a kill switch there where you have to have DNA for it to operate or a safety on it. Well, okay, let's just remove that particular safety, and boom, we have it.
Yeah.
So I definitely think we just need an insider at that point. Which, on the flip side of that, as opposed to getting an alien tech, this idea of helping aliens, like when Wickus tries to help him get back to the ship and befriending them, do you think that idea is going to happen? Is there going to be some maybe group, some folks who try to help him out more so? Is it all just going to be crazy alien time? What do you guys think is going to happen there?
No, there's definitely going to be some far out there conspiracy people or whatever. There's going to be somebody, alien lovers, let's just call them, who are going to want to do everything they can to help them.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely see that being the case too. So I was just curious what you guys thought on that.
Yeah, I mean, like,
there's always going to be someone.
Yeah, like we a spoiler alert for those of you out there. We some of us saw the latest Venom movie last night, and there was a family who were, kind of peace hugger happy. Oh, but there's aliens out there, and we don't eat meat, but we've got to go see the Area 51 before it's gone away.
Sure.
And blah 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 blah, and so there's all kinds of people out there, so that's all I'm gonna say about the movie, so there'll be no spoilers. So, but there's a family in there.
You spoiler alerted without the spoiler alert. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, kind of wrapping up this idea of questions, do you think they, I forget the names of them, but the older alien and the child, do you think they return in 3 years, or do you think they're just sayonara, peace out?
They're gone. I'm sorry, but why would you return? Like,
I mean, fair, Chad.
I'm gonna go with Chad. I'm the same thing. Why would you come back? If there's nothing for you here, it took you 20 years to get all that juice saved up so you can leave. Why would you come back? Unless it was to take over.
Yeah, you go back home and bring the rest of the crew around. You can survive on Earth. Maybe that side. No, I agree. He's out of there. He's gone. I think he just threw out a number to save Tell and ran. That's what it really seems like. So, cool beans. Well, that's it for questions, guys. We made it.
Yeah, we made it. Yeah, it's been an interesting week this week. So, all right, but this movie, let's see, does it have any aspect of the movie? At least my favorite. It's pretty bad. I go and look at movies now, and I just look for plot holes. You see any plot holes in this movie? I mean, anything that just jumped out at you?
As the picker of the movie, I kind of, over time, I don't know if I understood the point, but the child constantly like fixing stuff the dad alien was getting wrong and just like randomly being right. I was like, there's no shot. Like, I get that the older alien kind of knew everything, was piecing together this thing in the back of a shed, but that's kind of my point. There's no way this kid understands everything he's doing, let alone how to fix it, just by watching him do this in an underground shed. Now, maybe on the mothership, actually doing stuff, putting stuff together, got manuals laying out, maybe the kid picks something up and understands it, but not in the situation they have. I definitely don't see that kid picking up that much. That's one of my plot holes.
Okay. Chad, how about you? All right. Okay. Here's a couple that I had. Let's go with a minor one. So at the end, when they are breaking into the building, he's a fugitive. I'm going to get close to my mic and say, he's a fugitive. Wouldn't you take his passcodes away from the system?
Immediately. Gone.
I mean, come on. I mean, the guy's out there, and you want to let him come in and get alien tech when you know he can use it because of the arm? I mean,
yeah, not happening.
Yeah. Okay. So the television footage shows the little ship coming down off the big ship, where I can't remember where Christopher ended up landing the ship. Why wasn't it found in the first place? I mean, they would have found wreckage or the hole in the ground, or did it like just self bury and then everything above it just disappeared? You know, when you had a camera looking at it, didn't you think it would watch it land? I
Oh
don't know.
yeah. Maybe it was the incubator, or intended to be originally. You know, that's why it had to bury itself.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not really.
Yeah, there's no telling. I mean, it is a plot hole.
Yeah. Another one. Okay, so Christopher has the secret underground place to hide and do all this work and all that. Why don't you put the stuff down there instead of in a lunchbox? I mean, you're
That makes
just
too much
asking
sense, Dave.
for it to be found. And
That
then, of
makes too much
course,
sense.
the biggest one. So, what's his name? I can never pronounce his name. Wickus. So Wickus opens up the thing and it shoots all over his face. You know, I mean, a good amount shoots on his face. You know, and then of course that turns him into the alien. It starts turning him into one of the prawns. All right, so why is that stuff the same stuff that powers the ship? And if he's been saving it for 20 years and a whole bunch got on Wickus, why didn't he leave sooner if he didn't need that much? you
True.
know?
Also,
I mean,
why didn't he just kill Wickus to take it back? I mean, heck, get it out of his system.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, but I mean, there was no time for them to have to replenish the stuff that was spilled.
No.
You know what I'm saying? There was, to me, that was just like the biggest, like, what? You know?
That checks out.
Yeah.
Or the fact that it turned into an alien and just didn't straight kill him to begin with. I mean, I'd even call that a plot hole. There's no way that I don't think that the DNA comboing that quickly in that fashion just from something spraying in the face. No.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. So let's go on to our next segment. What would you do to either fix or improve this movie? So,
I mean, I get the mockumentary style, and it's going to be one of the things that affects my ratings. It's just I needed it to either be a more serious quote unquote mockumentary or a more funny mockumentary. I think they tried to find that balance between funny and serious, and to me at least, they didn't quite hit the balance too well because it just seems sometimes like they were looking to throw humor in there. I don't know if that was the intent or not. That's the way it appeared to me.
it seemed
And
like British humor almost, you know, to
Well,
me.
that may
it
be the
was-
problem. Maybe it's just a cultural.
I think it's a
humor issue.
cultural thing because, I mean, it gave me vibes of like Monty Python stuff where they kind of tried to be serious, but then they would throw these quirky, you know, words and stuff that just didn't quite. I mean, as an American, it just kind of like, no, I don't understand that. You know,
Yeah, so that one's one of mine. I'm like, I either need it more serious or more funny, and I'd be fine with either. Especially following the story we're following. I think either could have worked. That weird in between, just I don't know, it didn't work for me. And then overall, I'd probably shift our main character a little bit. I definitely would have liked to seen just something else there. Because he seems like the corporate nerd, but then he's not really because of the way he bosses and handles around, almost like Michael Scott boss-esque idea. And like I said, I think it didn't quite strike the balance for me. So I'd shift the main character and I'd change that funny, serious balance. Those are my two major ones.
Chad, how about you?
I'm sorry. Got nothing right now.
Yeah, okay. I can tell you're under the weather a little bit, so hope you feel better.
I'm not. I'm gonna hit the sack after this.
It's all good. It's all good. For me, there was so many things that needed to be repaired just from the first instance of, okay, you know, hey, okay, the ship stayed up there for 3 months before we did anything. Okay, no, this is the world. The United States is gonna say nope. If it's there longer than a week or 2 days, all right, we're going to cut into the thing or whatever,
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
speaking of cutting into the thing, let's get rid of that whole thing because that just threw another plot hole. So when Christopher decides to fly away, there's big holes in the ship. All right. So how's he going to pressurize? How is he going to live? How's he going to have oxygen? That kind of stuff. So instead of that, have the ship come there, actually land, because again, you want something that's just going to hover over your city for 20 years.
No.
I mean, it's just one, it's going to become an eyesore for people. They're going to be like, things needs to go. They're going to figure out a way to move it or get rid of it or something. So make the ship land. Don't have so much of of them congregating in the same place all the time. And yeah, I'm like you, John. I didn't care for the language. I thought the language was like, okay, it's a little bit over the top. You guys can pull this back a little bit and make it easy PG-13,
Oh yeah,
instead of
for
being
sure.
R. And if you're gonna make it funny, make it funny. If you're gonna make it serious, make it serious. Like you said, it kind of bordered in between the two, and let's go one way or the other. I would rather it be serious, honestly, because there's enough funny. I mean, you look at the Avengers. I mean, so many of the Avengers stuff. They have enough
yeah.
comedy in their movies to make it enjoyable. And if you want to do something like that, fine. I mean, this actually was done before any of the Avenger movies, so maybe they got the idea from something like this. I don't know. So yeah, things like that are what I would fix. Okay, let's go to our next segment where we're going to rate this on a scale of 0 to 5 lightsabers. So, okay, John, since you picked this movie, you get to rate it first.
All right.
What do you give it?
I for sure give it 1 just on the mockumentary style alone. I appreciate the style. I think it was a good difference maker, very different on that. I think throwing another point for general, I mean, graphics and all were still good. And then like half a point on the storyline. Like I like beginning to end. Again, there's a lot of holes that need patching, including in the ship. But I think you patch some of those and it shifts it a lot differently. So that to me still makes it quality. And then half a point for, I mean, I'd still rewatch it. So I'd give it a solid 3.
Okay, a solid 3. All right, Chad, how about you?
I'm about the same with John, a solid 3.
All righty. And for me, well, I originally thought about a 3, but then I started really looking at the plot holes, which weren't too bad, honestly, compared to some movies where we've seen just every time you blink, there's a plot hole.
Oh, yeah.
So they weren't that bad. I don't know. There was something about it. It was fine, but it wasn't enjoyable or my cup of tea, I guess you could say. So I'm going to give it 2.5 stars.
Completely fair.
Yeah, just I mean, it was something that was totally different than what we're used to. So, like I said, I give it a point for that. I give it a point for the again, it was a low budget movie. It really was not a high budget movie. So give it a full point for that. And the story was compelling. It wasn't great,
Compelling's a good word for it.
but yeah, it was compelling. So that's kind of how I did that. All right, everyone. All right, guys, please contact us. Best way to do that is YouTube. Right here, go ahead and go right down at the bottom. Add your what do you call it? Your comments, your suggestions. If there's a movie we haven't done, tell us what you'd like to see. We're also on all the social media networks: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. at the Sci-Fi Guys, or you can email us TheseSciFiGuys@gmail.com. Yeah, so you can see at the end I was a little bit behind, so you can see that I actually read that. It's not actually a video out there. So our next movie is one that Chad picked out, and it is dun, 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 Flight of the Navigator. I'm trying to remember this movie. I'm getting it. Is this the one with the guy the kid that's playing the video game, and then and it's got the one kind of monster looking guy that goes, oh, is it that one?
No,
Sorry,
I have no idea. I haven't seen it.
it's a spaceship that looks like a brain.
spaceship looks like a. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm gonna slide over here. I hope my microphone doesn't go off.
I'm really tempted to just say a whole
Okay,
bunch. But
so it's not this ship.
No, that's the
This one
Starfighter.
is. This is the. What was this movie? Then?
Last Starfighter.
Last Starfighter. Okay, so all right, yeah, I get those two movies mixed up. Flight of the Navigator. Okay, well, we'll definitely have to.
It's
God,
a good movie.
Don't remember it at all. So
It's
Yeah.
really like you kind of did only was playing the video game, but then comes to figure out that he's really playing, and they figured out he made a connection with the alien spaceship.
Okay,
So
okay,
sounds like a fun one.
that does
Yeah.
sound like a fun one. Well, everyone, until next time.
Crash and burn.